Hello and welcome to episode 91 of the FPL Hangover podcast, where we raise the bar and lower the tone, all things FPL related. We are back after taking full advantage of the international break. We are rested. We didn't pod last week, so we are fresh and ready for game week 9 and beyond. Quick look at everything, and yep, that's right, FPL is on fire. But I'm sure that's nothing to do with FIFA running a bunch of international fixtures at a time like this. But look, we won't dwell on it. Let's get into it. Helping me pick through the rubble is the hip to my potamus, my podcast partner in crime, Seamus. How are you getting on, my friend?
We are back. It's good to be back after a week off. I feel refreshed. Vocal cords are recovered. Yeah. Good. Apart from the amount of flags on my team, all good.
Yeah,
how about you?
No, I'm the same. I was kind of eager to record this episode, which is a nice change of pace because usually it's been a bit of doom and gloom since this season began. Neither of us having massively impressive starts, and yeah, a nice break off. That was kind of enjoyable. Got to relax. You're shuffling, Seamus. You're shuffling. You've got a cup of tea with you tonight, this evening.
Apologies. Yeah, I should have muted my mic. Yeah, no, I'm just pushing back my tea. I finished my tea now, so it's all water for the rest of the day.
I didn't want to try to call you out now, but I was just looking for a segue in. I'm still, settling in to the start of the podcast. But what did you get up to over the IB, the international break?
International break. Signed up for Amazon Prime, so I've been catching up on a few TV series like The Boys, which is great, and just
that's
doing
2
a lot
weeks
of
in
running.
a row now. That's 2 weeks you've plugged Amazon Prime. You sure?
Oh yeah, but as soon as I stop mentioning them, they're going to make me start paying for it. So if I want to keep getting the free Prime, gotta keep mentioning it. And listen out for next week's episode where
Disney Plus.
Yeah. No, so I'm just kind of catching up on some shows. I mean, I kind of haven't really taken advantage of this lockdown to kind of catch up on shows and movies, but I'm starting to get through them a small bit now.
I did the absolute opposite. I was on 2 weeks break from work, so I basically completed like 3 games on the PlayStation 4. I was just like, finish Outer Worlds, finish Wolfenstein, and do Obra Dinn, and I'm kind of I was on a big gaming binge, but I'm back at work now, so I gotta put my thinking hat on, reasonable, can't stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning playing nonsense. So the fun's over, James.
That's an area that crosses over quite a bit with FPL players, is what I see online as well. And I used to be a big gamer too, but gaming and FPL, they seem to kind of go hand in hand quite a bit. You considering? I didn't ask you this. Are you considering getting a PS5 or whatever?
Is this really the sponsor for next week? The PlayStation 5? Yeah. If I got one free, I would easily shill for a PlayStation 5. But no, I'm not going to get one. Not for a good while. I don't even have a 4K TV, so I'm just kind of cruising through, give it a year or so, and then maybe pick one up. But look, we're getting sidetracked. How dare we talk about ourselves on our very own podcast? People are here. They're here for FPL, and we've got a bunch of it in front of us, Seamus. Before we get into Game Week 9, we'll just take a quick look at Game Week 8, because we didn't pod, as I said last week, and I would like it to be known that I had the best game week I'd had all season. And I used that moment to go, no, let's take a break. This isn't sour grapes, because I didn't want to ever take a break after having a bad game week, because I felt like that would, maybe lead to some fucking behavior issues with how I do a podcast. So I was like, no, good game week. I deserve a break. Let's reset. And Seamus, you even went as far as to congratulate me after last game week, which is a rarity for you.
That's because we didn't pod last week. This was last week. I don't think you'd be getting a congratulations, but I've had a week to kind of realize that FPL isn't the be all and end all. But you smashed it, man, and got a game week rank. One of those anything under sub 1 million is great. Anything under sub 100k is amazing. I had a good week. I had a green arrow for the 4th week in a row, and I'm at my lowest OR of the season. I'm at 2.1 million now. But yeah, the fact that we do a podcast doesn't reflect well if we're both in the plus 2 million mark. So I'm glad one of us is kind of getting down there. I was kind of hoping you might have broken into the top million, but
Hey,
you're not
it's
quite
only
there
game
yet.
week 8. This is, we're getting ready for game week 9. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, it's a bit of a long winter now. There's no break until game week 17, I believe. It's basically 9 long weeks until the next kind of skip in, game weeks for us. So, fuck it. It's what you want to be going into, a bit of a bounce. Hopefully, continue that into this stretch. But as we also mentioned, everything's fucking up in the air right now. Like we can look at game week 8 all we want, but all I see when I look back at game week 8, a week where I cut my rank in half, boom, is red flags or yellow flags or whatever color flags. It's just fucking caution signs everywhere, Seamus.
Yeah. Mo Salah, the big talking point this week on Twitter, went off to his brother's wedding. A couple of days later, everyone kind of going, look, he's being carried around by a big crowd of people at his brother's wedding. A couple of days later, yeah, confirmed to have tested positive for COVID. So he's that was a picture that
I
see it
did
in
not.
Origin
I
and
did not
Bets,
see this
So,
picture. No, I
you
did
see
not.
that? No, there wasn't a picture. It was a video of them like, and they're on there, they're dancing around on top of people's shoulders. I was like, that doesn't seem wise. You can't even blame FIFA for this. So yeah, he's tested positive for COVID, and based on the Egyptian regulations, he won't be allowed to leave the country until for I guess the quarantine for 5 days, and then he's got to test negative and wait another 5 days or something. So by all purposes, it looks like he's going to miss this next game week. Hopefully, he'll be back the week after. So look, I probably have other fires in my team I'm going to want to deal with. I'll probably just bench him.
Yeah.
This is why I've such a strong
You
bench.
do. I love how cold we've become as FPL players. It's like not the fact that this man has caught a disease, but it's I might just bench him. I might just give him a week off. I'll see. I'll see how I feel. If maybe he dies.
Does catching a disease at like a wedding party really count as catching a disease? I mean, look, I'm taking it like kind of.
Yes,
we should
it
probably
counts
go,
as a disease.
it's COVID, but I'm kind of going like,
if you caught chlamydia at a wedding party, you'd count it as a fucking disease. So don't.
I play the next game week.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you do a lot of things with that. You amoralist swine. But getting back to my team, Seamus, because I'm going to bask in this one more time. Yeah, I pretty much.
Yeah, tell the people your points and your OR. Your game week rank, actually, not your.
You love
OR,
asking me
game
things
rank.
that I don't know. My game week rank was actually pretty good. No, it was 58k. I think, Seamus, you said that a while ago. I don't have it at hand. It was 58k, and easily my rank of the year so far. So I'm going boom, have the thing from 2.8 million down to 1.4, and suddenly I'm feeling like, okay, if I can do one. It was just one of those weeks where things go right. I'm not going to go on about it too much. I had Fernandez. I had 9 out of 11 players deliver, and hopefully I get a few more of those this season. But looking at your team, Seamus, not so bad is my point. It's a bit dissimilar, but not so poor. I mean, you had a game week score of what?
I just pull up your team because I thought you wanted to talk about your team a bit more. I had 66 points, which pales in comparison to your 87. But like a game week rank of 1.6 million, so that's not too bad. Saw a nice green arrow, as I said, highest position this season so far. Moved up about 350k. Captain Harry Kane, I captain my high scoring player. He got 9 points, double to 18. Salah also got 9. Calvert-Lewin got a cheeky assist, and then Justin came off my bench for Trossard, who was out. So that's one of my players who's flagged, along with Salah. Jimenez did nothing, but that worked out okay because I got the Justin points. McCarthy in goals, continuing to pick up clean sheets here and there. Not getting much more than the 6 points, not really making saves or anything like that, but he's doing okay. Lamptey, clean sheet. And my transfer this week, like I said last week, was going to be getting rid of Trent. I was all but convinced I was getting rid of him. I did. I pulled the trigger in the end. Got Chilwell, 8 points, got himself a goal. He's already done more for me in 1 week than Trent has done in like the last 4, something like that. So
yeah, but he's flagged.
Now he's flagged. Yeah. So let's see. Press conferences are going to be massive this week. On Thursday and Friday. So yeah, it's something that I'm going to have to keep an eye on. I don't think I'm going to get rid of Chilwell. If he doesn't play, it probably makes James more likely to start. I made a joke earlier. I don't know if that came across or not, but I said my strong bench. I have basically 2 players who aren't playing at the moment. I've done for Burnley, who hasn't played after the first 2 games of the season. He's only like 4 million or 3.9 or whatever I paid for him. And I've Dale Stevens, who's also at Burnley, who's got a flag as well. So he missed the last game. Yeah, so maybe I have like one person on my bench and I've got 4 flags. So this doesn't look
We've come
good.
back and the whole place is on flipping fire, Seamus. I did flipping again. See, I'm weaning myself off of the hard cursing because I.
Yeah, but you got to get ready for when you're, called up to the Scouts, or onto that Premier League channel, the official TV show.
Maybe that is it. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to shave and don't shave. Yeah, no. We'll get on to shaving later. We'll save.
We've seen some I almost said the word celebrities. We've seen some high profile FPL players who have shaved.
We have
this last week
or
so, and not the best results.
Yeah, it's been 16 days now. Two weeks, Seamus. November's in. We're seeing bald faces that haven't seen the light of day in God knows how long. And we're seeing a lot of mustaches. I wish I had everything prepped to go straight in to the bit we're going to do later on, but instead we've just given you a teaser. So stay tuned for a bit of Movember action towards the end of the episode. But if you are checking this out on YouTube, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. If you're listening to this, give us a thumbs up on whatever platform you're using. But I get this in now because I think there's usually people that aren't going to listen to an hour and 20 minutes of us yammering in, and then I want to get all that in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can I ask, to interrupt you, do you have your team up on
my team
YouTube?
on YouTube, or
do you have that?
What?
I
had it. Week? Yeah.
For your Game Week 8 score. Yeah, you had it up, so they would have seen. But I just want to commend you on your transfers. Yeah, even though that's not the word I would have probably used on whatever Saturday night when West Ham got a late winner from Souček, who you transferred in and started. And then you managed to hold on to a clean sheet from Masuaku, which when I saw that penalty that Lookman took was. But look, 15 points from your 2 free transfers, that
was the big thing. Yeah, I suppose I didn't. I kind of skipped past my team really fast because I didn't want to wallow in all of the the fake praise is what I say, the pity praise. But yeah, no, I did. I made 2 transfers last week. I got out Foden. I basically, Seamus, just stuck to my wildcard plan without thinking too much about it or looking at anything. I was going, Foden was sitting in my team as a placeholder for Souček while West Ham ran out the remaining 2 tough fixtures, and I was obviously disappointed to have Foden not starting either of those matches, but he did come on with a goal in one of them, so I was like, okay, grand, but you're still going to fucking Souček because that run of fixtures is delicious for West Ham. And with Subwise, I basically just used the money to upgrade my 4 million strike punt, which went down in a ball of flames, up to Masuaku, because again, fixtures, just I don't mind having a cheap midfielder 4.5 tipping away there that I can throw in if I needed to. I got extremely lucky with Lookman deciding to be a bit of a feckin' Egypt after getting a 90 plus minute penalty, and for some reason Mitrovic not taking it. I don't know what that means now. I don't even know what him missing it means.
Yeah, I heard he was kind of carrying a knock, or he'd just been hurt just beforehand. He was still playing, but he just wasn't out. That's what somebody said, because when I heard that and I saw he didn't take it, I was like I thought this guy was one of these warriors, had fucking some stones, but I was like, if he's pushing out of taking a penalty, but apparently he's got injured, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Still, you don't want to be on full distance. I
did also, maybe you heard this or you didn't, but I think I heard that Mitrovic missed a penalty during the week with the internationals as well. Is that correct? Serbia.
I think he missed in the penalty shootout. Wasn't it his penalty that was saved by
there you go.
Scottish
keeper? So he's missed another.
March.
Maybe his fucking head is gone. Do you know?
It was a good save. I mean, there wasn't even the one in the penalty shootout wasn't even a bad penalty. It was just, I think he was the last. He was penalty taker number 5, and it was just a good save.
But that's enough. Bitching about Game Week 8. What have we? 15 minutes in. No, I think that's fair. We've done Game Week 8 now, and it's time that we move ahead. Now, this is, as I said, kind of like I wouldn't say a fresh start, but the next chapter of the 2021 season is here. As I said, no breaks until New Year's fucking day break or something like that. They have the classic Game Week. Was it 17? I think this year. I should really know this, but when you're looking at so much shit, how are you supposed to fucking remember it? It's just like, come on.
You're right. I'm trying to recall it, but like after the wild card has to be used before game
Exactly.
week 16, and then I think it's game week.
I
Is it
think it's
17
17.
or 18? I'm thinking one. They're both blanks. Like there's half the fixtures are spread out over a few games, so there's going to be blank
We'll get a
fixtures and
break is
double
the
game
point,
weeks
and
and
the
stuff
FA
coming up
Cup is
soon after.
around, so it's like all
Yeah,
of it. But there is no break between now and then, so we've decided what we're going to do is we're going to take a trip down memory lane, and we're going to bring back an old school episode of Balls to the Wall. Now, for those listening on the audio platform, they're hearing a little jingle, but I'm not going to risk YouTube editing or copyright striking my fucking episode. So, no, you're just getting me rambling on. But Balls to the Wall, basically, cut in here, balls to the wall. Basically, we're going to come back. We're going to pick our hot shots, our puck fadas, and our breen sheets for the next 4 game weeks. Then we're going to come back again. We're going to revisit them in 4 game weeks' time, and we're going to pick a whole new set. And there may or may not be a forfeit. This is what happens when you don't pre-plan episodes. But there's going to need to be something on the line, and this will see us safely through until after the new year, when we can come at you with another cheap gimmick and hopefully take up a bit more of your time, your precious, precious time. But balls to the wall, Seamus, we've looked at the next 4 game weeks, and we've picked out our candidates individually representing us that will go into battle on our behalves. How many other ways can I say that?
yeah. You did mention it about forfeits, so I'm only going to enforce that rule
Well, I
if I
think we're going
win.
to have to clarify it before we see game week. If we don't have it clarified before game week 9 commences, then it's just bullshit. But I'm thinking
Yeah,
I can see you wearing eyeshadow and dress.
yeah. I mean, maybe next pod.
Well, if you want to you can bait that out
Dress up.
anytime you want, Seamus. I think this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but just decide something good for the forfeit as well.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to wing it on air. But yeah, looking ahead, Seamus, what have we got? What have you been looking at for your hot shots? We've been yeah.
Hot shots over the next 4 game weeks, 9 to 12. There was a few. There's a good few options here over these next few weeks. There's kind of a swing in some fixtures for some teams. The player I've chosen as like the must-have player is a player that is just must-have for me to get in that I don't have. I think a lot of people are already on him, but Jack Grealish, they've got amazing fixtures coming up. He's doing bits. He's going to probably get injured before the end of the international break, I would imagine, because I picked him. And how does that work? If he does pick up an injury, can I pick someone
No,
else?
I'm going to say no right
Okay,
now.
damn. Well, look, he's been brilliant in the internationals. Jack Grealish. Next game in game week 9 is against at home to Brighton Hove Albion, away to West Ham, then at home to Newcastle, and then away to Wolves. Yeah, so 2 amazing home games there. He's playing out of his skin. He's playing kind of in a left wing position, and the improvement in Aston Villa's team this season has meant that players can't really double up on him. And whereas previously, he was just getting fouled left, right, and center. If they do double up on him, he just passes the ball off, lays it off to somebody else. So he's getting assists, he's getting goals, he's liking to shoot from the edge of the box. All the stats are in his favor. I haven't had him so far, and he needs to come into my team. When I look like I've got like Trossard and Barnes as my third and fourth kind of midfielders, yeah, Jack Grealish has to come in. So that's why I picked him as my hot shot for the next 4 game weeks. I think he's got
Yeah,
big
I
points in
wasn't
him.
expecting such a stunning, propaganda-filled paragraph on Jack Grealish, Seamus, but I do think he's a pretty good pick. Like as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, he's kind of tearing shit up at the moment. He looked great in some of the internationals over the international break as well. So he's just kind of continuing his upward trajectory of a 2021 season. Don't see how that can be chalked down as a bad pick. I've gone a little bit different. I've gone with a man who has a tough one. Well, on paper it would look tough in game week 9 against Liverpool, but follows that up with a run against Fulham, Sheffield United, and Brighton in the following 3 game weeks. That's Jamie Vardy. He's obviously been a bit of a topic over the last couple of weeks. He just hasn't really stopped since the season started. He's been tipping away the whole time, and Mr. Penalty Magnet himself. What's he averaging now? 4 penalties a game. He's got a open as a tough match against Liverpool, an absolutely ravaged backline Liverpool, and he's following that up with, as I said, Fulham, Sheffield United, and Brighton. I think probably the 3 nicest fixtures at the moment. You could probably argue that Brighton could be replaced with West Brom, but like they're up there. All those teams are prime for some Vardy attacking. So for me, and he's a player I might not have is the issue with the hot shots in terms of what the pressers say, what players we end up kind of coming into this period with. Do what, as you said at the start before we started recording. Kane's going to play this week. He's got to, at least you can rely on Harry Kane against Man City. Maybe he pulls out, a bit of a classic performance and, can come away with a 9-pointer. Just
I don't know. Like City are looking better defensively the last few games, so I think that Harry Kane's going to get no joy in that. But that's the other thing I'm watching. I'm watching All or Nothing with Spurs, so I'm kind of getting like about 6 months too late behind everyone else. So I'm kind of getting to see the behind the scenes things there. If I'd watched that earlier, I might have been more into Spurs at the start of the season and maybe got more points. But can I ask you a question? Did the goal he scored against Wolves, and he missed a penalty, was his first goal that he did score? Was that a penalty as well? I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, it was a penalty. Yeah,
Sorry.
no.
I was talking about Kane. I
was like, what the fuck are you? No, he missed a penalty and scored a penalty, I think. I can't remember, Seamus. You know what damage I've done to myself since then?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that they've had 10 penalties this season. I think Jamie Vardy has scored both goals against West Brom in game week 1 were penalties. 2 of his goals against Man City were penalties. Then he's got a goal against Wolves. That's a penalty. They've got 10. Like even Tielemans has got 2 penalties scored this season. So Leicester are averaging penalty kick a game. So that's going to be a brilliant pick probably over the next few when the pictures pick up, because if they're conceding goals against or scoring penalties against Man City, you'd imagine Fulham are going to like give him a hat-trick of penalties or something. But he hasn't looked very good on the eye test. So yeah, but he's a nice. The reason I was making the transition from Kane to Vardy is because you can go from one to the other quite easily. I don't anticipate Kane to score too many against Man City or in these upcoming difficult fixtures, and I think just move to Vardy could be a nice way to profit. But who knows? We've taught those things in the past with different kind of similar transfers, and sometimes you're just better off sticking.
Yeah. So that's the hot shots. Moving on to our puck fadas, or long shot for ye non-Gaelic speaking lads. I'll go first. I think this is, as you kind of mentioned there, people looking to come off Kane. For me right now, there's 2 options, and it kind of depends on what way you want to go. But it's either the kind of Jamie Vardy route that we've already spoken about, or it's the Gabriel Jesus route, which we have yet to touch on. But I'm sure like everyone's looking at Man City's sudden turn in fixtures. Again, tough on paper, tough enough one this week against away to Spurs, but that's followed up with Burnley, Fulham away to United, West Brom, Southampton away to Newcastle. So just a really nice run all the way until the end of Christmas basically, and everyone's kind of looking at what City assets to get. So I'm thinking, if I'm jumping off Spurs down to City, do I just jump down to Gabriel Jesus, who's played 2 games, scored 2 goals, 100%? Goal per game ratio. Obviously there's big concerns with the classic Pep Roulette. When's Aguero going to be back? Can Jesus maintain his fitness? But for me, he's coming in at 1% owned, and I'm genuinely thinking, do I just drop Kane down to Leicester? Not this week for me, but in game week 10 for a home match against Burnley. Seamus, what do you make of that?
Yeah, it is risky considering Aguero's close to fitness as well. I'm just looking at the site here. I didn't realize. I think I'd heard he's back very soon. On the site, it says he's expected back the 21st of November, which is this coming game week. So he could be in contention for this game week. Now, he's had some bad injuries, and you'd think he might be eased back into it, but who really knows with Pep, as you said. So, yeah, I think Jesus could be good, but, their next 2, let's say, handy fixtures this week against Spurs could be a difficult one against Jose Mourinho's boss. But then home games against Burnley, who they always twat, and Fulham, who are basically dog muck. You'd expect there could be like 8 goals or something like that in those 2 games. So yeah, I think the Spurs attackers are good. And I was really close to looking at Kevin De Bruyne. He's another player who has to
But
come
he's
into
not a
my
puck
team
fada,
in the next
Seamus.
couple of games. And no, but for the hot shots, I
Yeah.
picked Grealish over him because Grealish I just think is going to be amazing. De Bruyne has a much higher ceiling and is probably more likely to hit that ceiling as well. But Man City just haven't been banging in a whole lot of goals this season in the Premier League so far. So I'm a bit reluctant to kind of go all in them anyway. But that being said, I think Jesus could be a magical
Magical.
pick.
What about
Yeah.
your pick, Seamus? What are you going to steal from me?
Well, you said there was 2 obvious choices that you could see. That you could see Jamie Vardy or
From Kane.
Jesus. I hadn't really been
Yeah.
looking from Kane. From Kane. I hadn't really. I'm looking at the same thing. I'd rather keep Son because I think Son is probably more likely to get a goal on the counter attack against the likes of City because that's quite often where they may concede a goal. A quick break, and he could catch them. So if I was going to keep one of them this week, and I was planning on getting rid of both, but I may keep one because Son may become my De Bruyne transfer in game week 10. Anyway, uh, I was looking at a different player than the 2 you mentioned. I'm looking at Richarlison. The problem there is doubling up with Calvert-Lewin in the Everton attack. Their next 3 games: Fulham away, Leeds at home, Burnley away, Chelsea at home. Apart from the Chelsea game, those are 3 nice games. So yeah, I'm thinking, should I kind of double up? I've seen people doubling up on Everton attack the first few game weeks of the season, getting a lot of joy out of it, and they've been really poor since Richarlison's been gone. With him back, goals could flow again. So I'm kind of considering Richarlison as my Harry Kane
Yeah,
replacement.
but I mean, literally, obviously, you can't do that. Is Richarlison? Oh, Richarlison's a forward this year. Oh, that's what
Yeah,
you were fucking banging on about Richarlison
yeah.
ages ago. I was like, what are you talking about, Seamus? I was like, you'll still have to justify Kane to who? Oh yeah, of course, stupid, sure.
7.8.
Oh,
It's
that
the
would
same
be
price
interesting.
as
Doubling
Calvert-Lewin now.
up on Everton forwards. Oh,
It's the sort of move I wouldn't normally do because that's putting my balls in
that's
the
putting your
chopping block
balls to the
there. That's
wall.
really going all out for Everton. Yeah, if I'm gonna bank on a team, I don't know if I want it to be Everton, but yeah, we know how good they can be this season. With an international break, maybe team recovers a bit more. Rodriguez could come back and his fitness could improve again. He still looked a bit injured when they played against United. Didn't really do too much. If he comes back and he's a bit sharper again, they could start slicing open teams. Like Fulham have a terrible defense. Leeds are a good team, but Leeds just come at you. So Leeds could be hit for 3 or 4, or they could beat you 3 or 4. So we saw the Fulham game against Leeds. That they could be like a 4-3 type game. So there could be goals there. And yeah, he's only 3.8% owned. So Richarlison is my puck fodder.
I can't argue with that, Seamus. Before we open this out to the audience, we got one more to do. We got a Breen sheet, a Gary Breen sheet. So we're looking at teams, specifically, I suppose, players under 5 million over the next 4 game weeks that you feel offer, a pretty solid fucking shout at clean sheets. Now, again, this is under 5 million, so it kind of rules out the obvious, premium defenders. Seamus, I went first with Gabriel Jesus. So I ask you to please tell the audience your Gary Breen sheet.
My Breen sheet is James Justin for Leicester. I know there's the risks and questions about Pereira and Castagna kind of coming back soon, but I think he should be okay for the next few games at least. Pereira, I think's comeback date is meant to be in December now, so I think he'll get all these games. So their next game against Liverpool, yeah, not a great one. You definitely don't want to be playing a defender against Liverpool if you can avoid it. But with all these injuries, like their entire back line seems to be decimated. Maybe Andy Robertson might be able to play, but like Van Dijk, Gomez, and Trent are all out. They could, and Henderson has picked up an injury too. They could struggle to have fluidity. We've seen in the past when they're missing 1 or 2 players from their starting 11, maybe even in midfield, that they don't get the service to the forwards, even like if they do like a lot of pressing. So yeah, that could be, that could be like a Leicester have been defending well. That could be a 0-0 or something like that. There might be a lot of goals in that game. Then you've got Fulham at home. We know Fulham aren't great at attack, although they have improved a bit. Sheffield United aren't scoring any goals this year, and Brighton and Hove Albion, for as much as they're like playing well and taking shots, they have a terrible conversion rate. So I think I can expect at least 2 clean sheets in those 4 games. And James Justin, depending on where he's playing, because he has played center back a few times, if he's playing left fullback or left wing back when they're playing that kind of back three slash wing backs, he could be getting forward. He could get attacking returns. He would have had an assist had Jamie Vardy put away his penalty against Wolves, the second one. He hadn't missed that, so he is lively. So I like him.
That's a great shout. No, I'm the same, man. We both have him. Actually, looking at our 6 picks across all 3 categories, there, he's the only player that we we have in our teams is James Justin, and we since the start of the season he's been exactly what you wanted for a 4.5 Leicester defender. So I'm not going to argue with you, Seamus. So I'm going to go with a team with a H. No, a team with that we had basically kind of jumped on at the start of the season 2 with the likes of Mitchell. Now he's obviously scrubbed out at the moment, and it's actually kind of tough getting a fair price on a Palace defender right now when you look at the injuries that they've kind of gone through at the back. So I've been forced to kind of use the 5 million limit to the max, and I've gone with Gaeta. I think Crystal Palace have a really nice run of fixtures in the next 4. It's Burnley away, Newcastle and West Brom away. I think all 3 of those teams are struggling to score. Now that 4-match run is topped off with a home match against Spurs. But I think in those 3, if I had the likes of a fucking, like, I think honorable mention to Van Aanholt, because he's legitimately the player I wanted there. But 5.4, he's still kind of above the general, kind of defender price point. He's still in that like mildly premium defender.
Yeah. Just kind of like, do I want to put 5.4 on him where I could go a small bit more and get Chilwell or have some like Reece James or someone like that? There's players out there, but I mean he's tempting. I'm not sure about your Gaeta pick.
Go for it.
If I'm honest, because they've had 1 clean sheet out of 8 games. He's on 21 points. There is 13 keepers with more points in FPL than him this season, which, considering there's only 20 teams, is, But then again, if we thought they've underperformed and the fixtures are now in their favour, like Burnley don't score a lot, Newcastle don't really score a lot, and West Brom are probably the worst team in the league, you could easily have 3 clean sheets there. And we saw it, he did it in spells last year. I think in 2 separate occasions, he went in kind of runs where when he does keep a clean sheet, like in game week 1 this year, he gets like 10 points. He gets double-digit hauls. So, he's a good keeper, and they will keep clean sheets. So, this could be, he could have been underperforming. He could be kind of coming back up. He mightn't be 13th position any longer. He could be back up in the top 5 or 6
You seem to have
again.
convinced yourself in that little spiel there.
I'm just giving you some credit that you've done. There's a basis behind it, but I'm not fully convinced based on
I get it. I think it's basically me looking for a reason to talk about Palace, because there were someone that I'm looking at going, their fixtures aren't fucking bad, man, from here until game week 12 at the next 3 at the very least. I'm like, oh, but again, do you really want to be relying on a Hodgson Crystal Palace that we know what they're capable of, but clean sheet wise, I think Gaeta is time to shine. But I think we can put the balls to the wall section to bed for another 3 to 4 episodes. We'll come back and we will review it, and we'll see you then. We'll unearth that times capsule, and we'll see if your harsh criticism of Vincent Gaeta was justified. And that will bring us on to the next segment of this week's episode. You guys are familiar with it. We're going to open it out to all y'all. It's the drunk tank. And again, there's a chime in there for the audio listeners. For those guys, I do the world for them. I just want someone to get, just someone to hear what I'm saying, Seamus. But no, I'm just kidding. This week's drunk tank, Seamus, first question. I haven't seen this lad in a while, but he's back and he's got humdinger. Thinking of selling, this is Conk at Conk FPL. At Conk_FPL. Thinking of selling Son for Ziyech and banking the cash I made in him. What you reckon? I find Son very streaky as a player in terms of returns, and I've had other issues that I should probably sort out. So, I think there actually might have been a visual representation, but in general, Seamus, Zun for Ziyech and bank in the cash. What are you thinking?
General rule, Santa Ziyech, good move. Banking the cash, does that mean he's not going to spend the money he's made off of the price difference there to upgrade elsewhere? He's just going to sit on it for some reason? That's what he means? Or does he actually mean just take the
I
profit
think he,
and run and
yeah, I think he
use it
basically
elsewhere?
wants a bit of Ziyech action. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, Ziyech is a great pick. I think he's going to do really well over the next few weeks, over Christmas and things like that as well. He's going to pick up the points. He's going to show everyone his worth. He's already showed how good he is in the last couple of games. I think he's got back-to-back double-digit hauls. So I like that move. Don't just sit on the cash. Like, don't leave it in your bank. Use it elsewhere. He's shown his team there, and he's kind of shown that his transfers this week would be bringing in Grealish and Ziyech, and I can't really argue with those. However, he's got problems in his defense. Like he's got Alexander Arnold, who's going to be out for a few weeks. Although he's only on a yellow
Yeah.
flag for some reason. I assume he's going to be out for a few more weeks. He's got Saiss, who isn't playing, and Robertson, who's flagged. So I would wait, and personally, I would wait until the team news came out. And if it's confirmed that Alexander Arnold's out for like another 2 or 3 weeks, if it's confirmed, and he's got Sterling as well, who's flagged. So if these players, if Robertson's back, then I go, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
hold on to Robertson. That could be good. But like he might only have two defenders
Yeah,
this week. So I would focus at least one of my
I'm with
transfers
you. I
there.
think I threw up his team so the people watching this can also see it. But as you mentioned, he has got double Liverpool defense, which is what drew my eye immediately. It was like, okay, double Liverpool defenders, both flagged. I think Zun to Ziyech, while I can't really fault the move itself when you look at the fixtures of Chelsea and Spurs, like literally their fixtures are turning to muck. I get it. But yeah, I wouldn't be looking to make a bit of cash. You're talking about banking cash from Son. I'd be looking to make a bit of cash from either Robertson or Alexander Arnold. I don't think you need to get rid of the two of them, but I'd be going
Yeah.
Trent down to a 4.5, maybe, as we mentioned, a West Ham, or, who's your green sheet? Justin. I know he's a bit more expensive, but I'd be dropping him, like getting myself a cool 3 mil from one of those Liverpool defenders, and I'd be turning Basuma into Ziyech, and I'd be coming at it then with a Son, Basuma, or who is now fucking Ziyech. Yeah, that would
Ziyech,
be the
yeah.
way I'd be looking at it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't, because as we mentioned, and I guess
Yeah.
like Conk is probably looking at this, in just FPL, players returns, but to me, I'm just looking at the whole stage being on fire right now, and Son might have COVID. So like that's also a thing. So if he's yellow flagged, then maybe this all goes out the window. But as it stands, he doesn't and will maybe play. So I'd be looking at the likes of those other yellow flags and worrying about that.
Yeah. The thing about Son is it's not a knock. If he's going to miss out, it's going to be because of COVID. And if he doesn't have it, he's fine. So he will definitely play. Mourinho will play him, even if he's traveling around the world. Like I saw the All or Nothing documentary, and it was literally because I know they were in an injury crisis, but it was literally a case of we need Son to play. If Son is not injured, he plays. And like when he hurt himself a few weeks back against Newcastle, came off at halftime. Uh, when there was a chance he could play the following game, he did play, and I think that was the game he got like 4 goals. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
yeah. I would keep Son. I like what you're talking about. I don't know if the maths are possible for that conk, but if you could sell Trent to somebody like, as you said, Justin, and use whatever money to go Basuma to him or Barnes or something like that, that
I
might
don't
be a
know what
better
he has in
move.
the bank, but I know that you're going to make a healthy profit off of dropping one of those Liverpool premiums down. But yeah, I hope that does a bit of make a bit of sense to you, Conk. Next question is from Nuclear Atoms at Atoms Nuclear. Man who, similar to what we were speaking about in the balls to wall section, he asks us, who would you rather have after game week 9, Vardy or KDB? So what he's looking at is Man City and Man City attack or defense, from which side I'll get more. Yeah, which side is he going to get more points? Does he go, upgrading and just getting a bit of Cancelo points, or does he, kind of go with KDB instead of Vardy? So that's the way I'm kind of reading that one.
Yeah, Leicester in a bit of an anomaly this year. It's hard to kind of predict where Vardy's going to get his points from. Like you saw him get the hat trick against Man City. I think a lot of people would have sold him that week as well. So he can get these hat tricks against any team. it's hard. Like he's not creating much from open play. He's not really getting a whole lot of chances. He's doing okay, I guess, in some games, but other games he's completely anonymous. KDB, I would rather have. I'd see even nice run of games. I think they've been underperforming. I think they'll go on a spell where they will perform for a while. Maybe it's not a long spell, but I think there's going to be a 4 or 5 nil in there in the next couple. Whether it's what did we
Burnley or
say?
Fulham.
Like Burnley or Fulham or something like that. One of those will be like you would think it's like somebody's going to get their pants pulled down. So you would think De Bruyne's going to be involved in it. So I kind of would prefer KDB. I think you get more points, but you can't.
So
really
are
tell.
you like if
Vardy,
you have to choose between
yeah.
KDB or Vardy, you're going with who? Yeah, I'm the same.
KDB.
I think the Vardy pick is like it's definitely, as we mentioned already, someone we're looking at, and a possible, like cash wise, possible you can have both. But if I had to pick one, it's KDB. Yeah, he's like,
and I think that's the thing with me is probably the reason I may not go with Vardy in these next few, even though the fixtures look nice, is that if I do get him, I'm ruling out getting KDB. If I do the moves I want to. So I think I'd probably go down to someone like Richarlison or maybe cheaper, just because I think they've got good fixtures too. And yeah, I'm trying to get my money out of attack. Like Jimenez is in my team as well. He's going to be gone soon too. The only reason he's not is that he's guaranteed to play. You know, he takes penalties, and I've got other fires I got to deal with.
Going back to Kong's question about Son down to Ziyech, like he has Sterling already, so I can understand. But for me, and I think for because for the majority of Son owners that don't have a City player, they're looking at KDB. Like, how do I get to KDB? Do you know it seems to be the general kind of train of thought. But I hope that sorts up now for you, Nuclear. Next question, FPL at FPL Rogue. I don't get this one. I wish I didn't sandbag this live on air, but I didn't have time to look into it. Yes, I get it now. Was Mo Salah capping his brother with the dance moves or vice versa? So this is the video that you explained.
This is the video I was telling you about pre-pod, yeah. He was before he was diagnosed with COVID. He was at his brother's wedding. You know, he sit around on people's shoulders and dancing. So basically, he's asking who's got the better moves and who's copying.
I'll let you answer this one. I genuinely just found out. Go for it.
I have a theory on this. I think Mo Salah is obviously the most successful person in his family. You know, he's a millionaire. He's worldwide famous. Plays, for Liverpool. He's won Champions League. You know, I still think that the younger brother is the more popular one in his family from his parents' point of view. I think he's the golden child. And Mo is like, everything that Mo has achieved has been because he's been driven on by how much his parents prefer his younger brother, who's only after getting married. And I think it's like, like the younger brother's the guy who's got the dance moves. He may not be, I think, he probably hurt his ankle or something when he's younger. That's why he's not a professional footballer. But like, I think that's what spurs him on. So I think Mo was copying his brother.
Okay, I'm going to Rogue. You heard it there. Seamus has actually thought about this because, as I said, I didn't have a clue what the fuck was going on.
There's nothing to base this on. I just, as an older brother, I think there's kind of jealousy there.
As an older brother, you understand the perspective of a younger brother. Is that
it? Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm the prodigal son in my family, you see, so I know that can lead to prodigal son syndrome, with the black sheep of the family.
Well, I hope that answers your question, Rogue. I'd love to know what that means for for us with FPL and Salah. I think, let's not forget, Mane had COVID. A couple of weeks ago. He was diagnosed positive for COVID, so he didn't miss a whole lot of game time. That's a weird way of looking at things, but that's what it came to mind.
It will affect everyone differently, though. Can't remember which Irish player. There's a player there playing for Dundalk or something like that, or Bowes, who's got it, and he's not being. He was talking about on Second Captains how much it actually, or off the ball, I can't remember which, how much it literally knocked him for six for weeks. He came back afterwards, but he was, couldn't get energy, couldn't play well. So you never know. So that could be your way to get into De Bruyne, if you are trying to figure out how to get De Bruyne in, and Mo Salah is looking off the pace and lethargic and just not fully 100% after this.
I get it.
But he could be asymptomatic. He could be just asymptomatic.
Yeah. Before we move on, though, I will point out a funny joke I saw in relation to. I don't know if you saw this, Seamus. This is me just telling you. I saw someone go, basically, Mo Salah's been diagnosed with COVID-19, and underneath it, someone said, if I had captained him, he'd had COVID-38, and I just thought, there we go. That's it. That's one. Everyone listen. You can have that one. Bring it in a bit better than I did, but that's my joke of the year.
Yeah, I did see that, and I can't recall who we need to give credit to there for that.
It made me laugh a lot. I was like, going, do you know what? You've actually, this is going to make it into the next episode. Whether I wanted to or not, it's going to be in my head. So, yeah, Mr. COVID-38 himself. He maybe was copying the moves. Next question. This is from another regular writer inner, as they used to say. That was the old term, the technical term. DD at DD1978A. He got in just before we started recording. He asks, wildcarding this week. Oh, this is not too dissimilar from the other one. Taking a Ziyech over J-Rod, who's not been the same since injury. Ziyech finally getting going, and his Eredivisie record was brilliant. What you guys think? That's the first part. We'll get to the next part after it. But yeah, he's talking to Ziyech as well. I mean, you've already creamed your pants about him. And I think you're completely right, Seamus. I think he's just...
Yeah, I'd go Ziyech.
Especially if you've got DCL. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are, rocking a Calvert-Lewin right now. So for me, I wouldn't be doubling up if I can get a bit of Chelsea action in there. It's just so similarly priced. So yeah, I'm giving you a thumbs up there. As well as the DD. Next part of your question. Go on.
I also think that J-Rod has... I thought we agreed
we are, but I read out the question. I was the same. I was like, last week I said J-Rod. I was like, there's already a J-Rod in the league. But DD has written in J-Rod, so I read it out loud. But yeah, I can't believe there's two J-Rods. What the fuck is that about?
Well, Rodriguez is a very common
in
name.
the British Premier League, is it? Yeah, exactly.
The Premier League. But I'm not 100% sure that the returns he was getting at the start of the season are sustainable. Anyway, I think he'll get a lot more assists. He was getting goals when they were like smashing teams. I don't think they'll continue to smash teams. I think they'll get goals, but I think he'll be more in the assist territory. I think he was overperforming. So I think Ziyech though will start adding more goals to his game as well as getting a lot more. Chelsea's just going to score more. It's bottom line. So yeah, get Ziyech if they're kind of close to the same price.
The next part of that question, before we get to that, just a little addendum to what you mentioned about Rodriguez continuing his run of form. There is a lot to be said about Everton missing Richarlison, and I think Ancelotti's never won a game where Richarlison hasn't started or something like that. I'm hearing that bandied about a place. So maybe with Richarlison back, Rodriguez becomes gets that little bit of fucking spark back in his game. So that's one to monitor over. But in general, I'm with you, Ziyech over J-Rod for me. But yeah, that second part of the DD question. If you were to win a competition to go on a session with any female movie star, who do you choose? And she pays for it. So Seamus, you had a couple of theories in this. You were really into this question before we hit record.
Yeah, I was trying to gauge how inappropriate we should be on this, but then I read it again, and it was like about going on a session. I thought it was like going on a date, and I was like, who could I trick into having sex with me? Going on a session with, so you're talking.
So
about
you don't have to trick them at all.
Session, I assume. Yeah, someone who's can't hold their liquor. No, I would say.
Is that a date rape joke? Do I have to cut this?
It's a joke. I would say Elizabeth Banks, because if you ever watch Modern Family, and I know that's a character on the show and it's not Elizabeth Banks, but I find her hilarious on that show, and she's like basically an alcoholic, and I was like, yeah, she does seem the sort of person who would be great crack on a night out, and she's funny as hell, so you're laughing your ass off as well. So I would pick Elizabeth Banks, which is kind of a weird one. She's not really Hollywood.
What are you talking about? She's not Hollywood A-lister megastar. Yes, she is. She's directing fucking shit all around the stage at the moment. She's everywhere. You're just fucking clueless, Seamus, and we'll get to this later on.
No, I wouldn't say I don't think she's an A-lister, because like an A-lister anchors a movie, and okay, directing is different, but I just don't think she's like Fair
enough. I'm not saying she's. Yeah, I get it.
Like
I get it. I'm not saying she's an A-lister. I'm just like, let's give her a bit of credit. And I agree with you. She does seem like she'd be a bit of crack. Yeah, when you mentioned Elizabeth Banks, I immediately thought of that character in Modern Family, and I went, yeah, so long as I wasn't doing something that she was resentful of, and in which case, that could turn into a nasty session, where there's tears and crying, which you don't want. So you need to make sure whoever you're bringing on that date, or whoever's bringing you on that date, is of sound mind, because you don't want tears at the end of a session. And with that, I've picked the soundest of minds, Miley Cyrus. I think that's the one I would be most likely to go on a session with. I feel like she could go buck ape. I don't know what she's into, but I've seen her swinging around on giant balls of stone, and or steel. I don't know what that's meant of, breaking through stone. But I'm going Miley Cyrus. I think that could be an entertaining night out. That's going to get eventful. Fucking weird.
Yeah. I see you in Barfoots.
That's fine. I'm like, okay, well, if there's a story to tell your grandkids. Do you remember Hannah Montana? Yeah. This is going to overflow. That's 2 now in a row. That's 2 I've overflowed. Luckily, I have a spillage blanket here, so it's not the world. It's called a carpet, but it'll work out. It's not my first rodeo. It's not my first rodeo. But there you go, Didi. We've got an Elizabeth Banks and Miley Cyrus night out planned. That's not 2 people I would have imagined we'd pick when I first read that question. But I suppose when we broke it down session by session, she's paying, so they need to have a bit of money. Fair enough. The next question we have in is from Renegades. I think they've dubbed themselves the.
Would you call them a good friend of the show?
Look at that little bit of Renegades love there. I would call him a good friend of the show. I'd call him a great friend of the show. I wouldn't call him a rival podcast. I prefer the idea of a sister podcast personally, because a rival podcast did have to be in our league, and it's like, oh, come on, guys, you can't. You can't expect that. No, I would say
sure, throwing shade.
I am throwing shade. I'm setting the stage, because apparently after long nights of negotiation with Renegades, there is going to be somewhat of an invasion next week in the Hangover Studios. They are going to be here live. It'll definitely be Drew, and Kirk's, I assume, is going to be there, but he's the Renegade himself, and so we don't know what he could do. He could turn up outside your house, Seamus, in the middle of recording.
Yeah, I imagine him turning up on a motorcycle, leather jacket, long hair blowing in the wind out of his bandana, and just kind of like, hey man, we got a social distance. You're just meant to do this.
What are you doing
there?
I'm calling the guards.
Like,
I'm ratting you out.
Yeah. It's like, I play by my own rules.
He plays by his own rules. I'm actually, I don't know if I made this clear, but yeah, Renegades is going to be here in the Hangover Studios next week. We're going to be doing a gruesome foursome. It doesn't rhyme, but it makes sense. And it's going to be a bit of crack to see what it's like to have someone else, banding about the place. We haven't had anyone since Keane. So he left the place in an awful state. We'll see what the Renegades lads can do. But the thing I'm most excited about is possibly finding out. Again, I don't know what the technological advancements in Kildare has been. If they have video cameras, if they exist up there, I'm not sure. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Kirk's looks like. Because you mentioned the classic bandana motorbike, stereotype, not stereotype, but you get me. The picture that has been illustrated by Renegades, or at least their fans, have said this is what he looks like, and I'm riveted to see how this turns out.
Then again, I thought Ken Early probably looked like that, and then I was a bit disappointed when I saw.
You thought Ken Early looked like a lad in a bandana and drove a motorbike?
I think he sounded like that.
Maybe he drove his motorbike to Trinity College. But for me, Kirk's has got blue hair that basically is a kind of a crow's nest, red glasses, yellow complexion. And if I get anything less than that, I'm going to be severe.
Sounds like Kirk Krusty the Clown
Van Houten from The Simpsons. Come on. Jesus.
Okay.
This is.
I get it.
I'm looking forward to getting the Renegades guy in here, because I don't know how much longer I can deal with this nonsense.
Did Drew have a question?
He did actually. Yeah, I was just checking. If FPL didn't exist, what else might you be podding about? So again, not an FPL question. So yeah. So we're gonna keep that then.
Well, you have your whole movie podcast you're looking to start up soon, aren't you?
Yeah, no, this whole FPL thing was kind of like a dry run for a film podcast that I was hoping to get going, and that should be out preferably this side of Christmas. I'll probably be plugging it a lot more between, whenever I know exactly when it's out, but hopefully this side of Christmas, if not shortly after. The film Hangover is the current beta title. As you can see what I've done there, I've taken FPL out and I put film in, and so that's what I would be doing, but I wouldn't be doing it with you. The question is what you pair, because you've, Seamus, this is what I alluded to earlier on, have maintained your waistline and let your film knowledge drop to shit. I've done the absolute opposite. And yeah, I'm like, nah, I couldn't do a movie. Like, I'd be saying, Seamus, Elizabeth Banks directs films now, and you'd be saying, a woman directs films? Where am I going with this?
It's like female pilots. Exist. They don't really exist, do they?
Female pilots, get out of here. No. What is this? The future. Where female robots run things. But
no, you're right. I don't know if I'd be allowed on your why are you saying film? Film sounds, I always say movie. I would say a movie podcast, a movie hangover. But it's film, is it? Okay. I don't know if I'd be allowed on your film hangover because
film begins with F, there, my FPL.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I guess, yeah. Well, my movie knowledge is has deteriorated. I'm not keeping up to date with the latest movies as much as I used to. You are definitely a movie buff, so yeah, maybe I could come on for the blockbusters.
That would be the plan. Or something I'd be getting you in there. You know plenty of films, but as long as they aren't in the last 10 years, I think we're golden.
I can give the voice of Joe Regular.
The voice of Joe Regular. But let me get back to the question. What would we be podding about? So if you and me were to do a podcast that wasn't FPL, what would it be? I got the answer for you, Seamus. You don't need to think about it.
Probably.
Okay. No, let me hear yours, because mine's going to top it.
I'll tell you. I was going to say probably a metal podcast talking about, like rock bands, metal bands, favorite albums.
Yeah, I mean, that's the classic white bread answer, Seamus. Of course we could do a heavy metal podcast. Look at us. You're in hell. You're physically in hell. But I think there's people that know a shit ton more about metal than I do. So I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I take a step back.
Yeah.
But you know what they don't know more about, Seamus? Do you know what they don't know more about than either yourself or myself? Sandwiches.
What?
A sandwich podcast. 20-minute episode, new sandwich every episode.
I literally don't know how to respond to that. You've
caught me off guard. You do like eating. Exactly. I like eating.
I do. Yes,
do you know what I love eating? Sandwiches.
Episode 1 would have to be a potato sandwich.
Potato sandwich has to be a special episode. That's saved for some anniversary. But episode 1 is a toasted sandwich. Ham, cheese, and onion.
I can already see his phone.
Well, there we go. That's the conflict in the episode that keeps people engaged. Because I'd have a full onion.
All right. So would we? I think we start recording this podcast immediately after we finish it.
You're married, so you've got a toasted sandwich maker ready already. She's waiting. Yeah.
I married her.
We're just keeping this misogyny going. I'm getting shakes of disapproval from... Yeah, we're getting shakes of disapproval from herself indoors across the room. It's just like, just keep going. Just keep fucking going. To see how much we can lower the tone. But yeah, there you go, Renegade. Drew, at Renegade's FPL. There you go. If we were to do a podcast, whether Seamus agreed or not, it would be about sandwiches. I think that's easily the podcast I actually am excited about right now. Fuck the films. Next question, and it's not really a question, but it is a I don't know what you'd say. It's not really
a question in this.
Is there a question? Oh yes, there is. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to kind of segue into the whole nicety of it, but it's from FPL's Fairy. at FPL Fairy. He asks us to rank the top moles in the FPL community at the halfway point. Now, he's not talking about Mo Salah, he's talking about mustaches, which are the flavour of the season. It's Movember. And yeah, as I said, not really an FPL question, but more of an opportunity to plug a fantastic cause. In regards to something that seems to be sweeping the FPL nation right now. It's everyone's growing mustaches. I mean, it's not a big shock. There's a giant male demographic in FPL, so why wouldn't we see a big uptake in November? But it's a great cause, and Steve's kind of drawing our attention to it there. He asks us to rank the top moles in the FPL community because there's so many fucking people out there just doing their bit and dedicating their few bob to this. There's people, FPL King at Fantasy King, FPL as I think that's it, or FFS, whatever it's called.
At FFS Scout,
FFS Scout, as fucking everyone knows who I'm talking about. But they're everywhere. I mean, you just have to type in the word Movember, into the website, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a big massive charity, and the lads are doing their bit to raise it. I have the link on the screen there, but for anyone not watching, if you want to just type Movember into FPL Twitter or into Google and just go straight to the source, there is literally a bunch of them worth following. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who or how many you give a few bob to, it all goes to the same fucking charity. But he does ask us to rank the top mo's, and it's a bit tough, obviously, because I don't want to be criticizing anybody or anything for me, Seamus. I'm not one to criticize.
I thought we would be excited about criticizing, not celebrities.
Well, you see, if we were physically doing Movember and we had giant mustaches, then we'll just talk down. But these are people actually doing something, and me and you were taking a step beside.
Yeah, they're raising money for prostate cancer, isn't that it? That's the whole point of Movember, to encourage men to check their prostate because
it's growing. Seamus, how old are you? You're outdated, Seamus. This goes up beyond the balls now. This is about mental health. It's basically a giant men's charity, which there's obviously not a whole lot of them, and this is the biggest one. But
have you chosen your favorites out of the ones? I think in order to do this, I went on to FPL Fairy, which is Steve's Twitter page.
Yeah.
And he has linked in and tagged a few people who are doing this. So there's himself, FPL Fairy. There's also Az, who's at FFS Scout _Az, who you'll hear on the Scoutcast and his Black Box podcast. There's also Andy, who's at Let's Talk FPL. He's doing it. And there's FPL King, which, as you said, that's at the Fantasy King too. Have you looked at them?
Yes, I have. I've looked at them.
Have you made your judgments?
I just feel like I couldn't pick one, but if I had to, I would give it to Az. I feel like he has lost the most with this Movember. Literally, he just looks lost without a beard, so lost. And fair play to him. He's suffering for the cause, and if there's anything I like about people doing charity work, it's suffering. So
I might have to shoot the guy a few bucks. I've already donated to Fairy there a few weeks ago.
You don't need to brag.
But yeah, I think Az deserves something for that there. I think the winner though, with the best mustache from what I've seen so far, has got to be FPL King. He's definitely rocking the best mustache. I don't even think it doesn't suit him. I think it actually kind of suits him quite well.
No, it is.
So, he's got to be the main winner out of this. But Steve isn't too bad either himself. So let's see how they turn out at the moment. Az loses because his picture hasn't been updated in about a week. So
get a grip, Az.
It looks the least impressive so far.
I get you. And I echo your sentiments with King. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's the end of the drunk tank. Hopefully some good comes out of that for a change. The next bit, Seamus, I think this is pretty much it. I think we're pretty much done. It's about time you kind of discuss the Grizzly details with everyone. Let them know where they can follow, our adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that this international break is almost over and people are starting to come back onto Twitter, that's where you can engage with us the most. You'll find us at FPL Hangover. I'm at FPL Drunk, so you can DM us there if you want to ask any questions. Look out for the calls for questions each week as well, of course. We also are available by email as well if you want to email us, which is fplhangover@gmail.com. I must update that Facebook page, which hasn't been updated, I think, since the very, very start of the season.
It,
Does anyone use Facebook? I suppose we should probably do it anyway. I'll get on that. I'll do that immediately after this show. But we're on Facebook if you want to find us on there too. Anything else I'm leaving out, Jer?
no.
Oh, YouTube, of course. Yes. Yeah, we're on YouTube now. If you're watching this, you already know that. But if you're listening, get onto YouTube, like, rate. If you're listening to this on YouTube or watching this on YouTube and you like it, hit the like button. Please do. Subscribe if you can, so you'll get the new updates when the new pod comes out every week. And yeah, I don't know. Tell your grandparents about us.
Yeah,
get them listening.
Do. I want to hear what some grandparents' opinions are. Have we gone too far? Have we crossed the line? What can we improve on?
The demographic, the statistics that you get, the analytics say we don't have enough listeners over the age of 60. So, get your grandparents listening.
You do. Yeah, we need to spread that out. But yeah, Seamus, you hit the nail on the head there, guys. Exactly. Do what the man has told you. But most importantly, enjoy Game Week 9. We'll be back next week, and we'll be back with a whole bunch of troublesome guests. So make sure to tune in, and God bless.